up points, but this is what we've been waiting for. Atkinson, D'Amato on the track together.
Well, Ken, so far we've decided nothing. It's 4-4. It's even up. But neither one of these teams got to where they are by backing down to any challenge. Speaking of challenge, two of the biggest, baddest, meanest, and best players in the World Skating League are coming up in our second period.
In fact, speaking of one of those two players, Sean Atkinson is standing by with Danny Wolf.
Sean, a lot of the experts are saying the only way the Quakes can win is for you to unleash the speedy, agile men jammers against the slower, bigger enforcement.
No, let me tell you, I'm going in Mark D'Amato's backyard. Pound for pound, we are a better team, and we're going to do punch for punch, block for block. We're going to kick some butt.
Good luck, Sean.
Thank you.
Sean Atkinson starting as a blocker for the Quakes, along with Rusty Montgomery and Chad Vaughn. Gary Lockamy and Mark James are the Quake jammers. For the New York Enforcers, jamming Dan Gavani and Fred Eichhorn. The blockers, Tim Washington, Brian Gamble, and of course, Mark D'Amato. And right off from the racehorse start, Dan Gavani breaks on in the lead, but right with him, stride for stride, is number 20 for the California Quakes, Gary Lockamy out of Daytona, Florida. So it's Lockamy and Gavani back in the pack. Chad Vaughn doing a good job of blocking out the other enforcer jammer. And now Gavani puts down Gary Lockamy. So it's all up to Dan Gavani to try and break this 4-4 tie in this Founders Cup Championship. A little different rotation on the first jam by the Quakes as they send Rusty Montgomery back to block out Dan Gavani. Perhaps they're feeling that Montgomery is a little bit more agile than Sean Atkinson going up against a very quick Dan Gavani. At any rate, it's working very well right now. Rusty Montgomery doing a good job of blocking out Gavani as we are coming rapidly up on 15 seconds. Now Montgomery setting him up. Here's Atkinson, the skyscraper, and that was the plan. That's the rotation. One, Montgomery dropped back, Atkinson stayed, hawking the front of the pack.
Well, Rusty Montgomery, one of those guys we didn't talk about much earlier in the year, in the middle of the season when the Quakes had some unity problems, Rusty Montgomery really stepped up. He's come to play here today, Ken. Great play by Rusty Montgomery as Mark D'Amato. They were talking before the game. Now they're getting into it over here on the sideline, Ken.
5-4, the New York Enforcers, and they've got a man advantage because Sean Atkinson is back in his customary position, receiving a one-jam penalty for interference, and now it's John the Skull Morrissey battling his fellow number 13. This is Eric Slopey for the Quakes, and they go at it, and down goes Morrissey. Eric Slopey, a golden opportunity. It was Eichhorn down and Morrissey down, and there you see Slopey coming up on the white pony.
Well, I question that, Ken. This is the Founders Cup for all the marbles. I know he likes to show to the crowd, play to the home team, but he's got to concentrate on scoring here.
Well, one thing about Slopey, he feeds off the crowd. He knows that white pony gets the crowd into it, and it gives him a little more enthusiasm. Big Tim Washington now along with Brian Gamble back to block out Eric Slopey, and now Mark D'Amato sets up Slopey for the eliminator. Put together there, you see the teamwork of Gamble, Washington, and Mark D'Amato. Sean Atkinson now going right after Mark D'Amato. Atkinson very smart, turning away from D'Amato. The last thing Atkinson needs is to go back into the penalty box. So finally, heads up thinking, and now Atkinson gives an added shove. He felt Tim Washington was sneaking up behind him.
And Eric Slopey, we talked about him feeding off the home team crowd. Well, right now, these New York Enforcers, led by a good shot of Tim Washington right there, all 400,000 pounds of him, are setting a precedent here with physical play, Ken. And you're absolutely right. Sean Atkinson may be taking the bait right now.
We're underway. It's still 5-5. Now Mark James, the lead jammer right now for the California Quakes, and J.R. Widener coming out. As you see Eric Slopey trying to recover from that eliminator. The trainer working on his back. And it's J.R. Widener that breaks out along with Mark James, and along with the trailing jammer right now is Gary Lockamy, who takes a whip from Chad Vaughn, and down goes one of the California Quakes, Mark James. J.R. Widener has certainly got his strength back. Remember, Widener came off that ACL, a deliberate injury put to him by the hands of Richard Brown. And it's Widener and Gary Lockamy as they come around. Widener now closing. Mark D'Amato dropping back in the rotation. Says something to his jammer. Now he turns his attention on Lockamy. The bail elbow sends Lockamy out over the railing. Atkinson does the same to J.R. Widener. Atkinson and D'Amato now. Atkinson says the same. And now Atkinson grabs by D'Amato. Tim Washington set him up for the King Kong. Normally, and strike, just a forearm, setting him up. Looked like for power driver. D'Amato has insult to injury. Now Brian Gamble gets in. You can see they're targeting Sean Atkinson. Finally, the referees get away from them. Sean Atkinson spoiled on the track.
A lot of times, though, Ken, you got to give Sean Atkinson credit. He's a tough cookie, and he may be trying to bulk up those penalties. As Sean Corbin is over here with the Enforcer men, I think he's right now doling out some of those penalties. But you have to take your hat off to the physical play of Sean Atkinson. And right now we're going to try to assess what Sean Corbin is doing with these Enforcer men. It got really ugly on that last jam, Ken.
We're underway. Mark D'Amato in the penalty box, a one-jam penalty. And now the California Quakes with the opportunity to break this 5-5 tie. You see reaching back Chad Vaughn giving a big whip to his jammer, Anthony Santiago, as they come around. Also out is Eric Slope, and now finally Fred Eichhorn gets out. They try to set up a double block, realize they didn't have it. And again, Eichhorn tries to break it up, just one of the jammers down, Slope. And he sends Anthony Santiago right into the infield. Santiago did a great job of keeping his balance and getting right back out on the track. Now Eichhorn taking a page again. Sends Santiago into the rail, and it's all Eichhorn as we come up on 20 seconds. Montgomery in the rotation now for the California Quakes has dropped back to try and block out number 12 for the Enforcers. That's Fred Eichhorn out of the Bronx at 5'10", 170. Montgomery doing a good job of concentrating all his efforts on Eichhorn. Some razzle-dazzle on the rest of the pack. Now Montgomery is setting him up. The Texas Bulldog by Rusty Montgomery. And that takes Eichhorn right down as Eichhorn paced the track. A one-jam penalty on Rusty Montgomery call because he hooked the arm, which is illegal according to World Skating League rules. Referee Sean Corbin also awards the Enforcers 1 point because he felt the illegal box prevented them from scoring. 6-5, and now this time it's the New York Enforcers with a one-man advantage. And breaking out very quickly is John the Skull Morris and Sean Atkinson at the front of the pack trying to prevent J.R. Widener from getting out. Now Gary Lockerbie comes out as they fly around the track. Hawk, this has been about as physical a game as we could have imagined.
Well, these New York Enforcers, they like to keep the score low. They like to keep it physical. But what I'm seeing they're doing here, Ken, it's a pattern. They go a jam where they get physical and start a fist fight, then they suddenly score points. It's unbelievable. Great job of the Enforcers as the jam's called off.
A very low-scoring first half as time runs out. The New York Enforcers lead this Founders Cup Championship 6-5. And again, Morrissey suffering the brunt of the attack by Sean Atkinson.
That's the back attack, Ken.
And now it's all broken loose. Now Atkinson continues to go after Mark D'Amato. This is Atkinson and D'Amato. D'Amato said he wants to eliminate Atkinson. Atkinson in an interview with Danny Wolf said, forget speed, he's going to take this right to D'Amato as both the respective captains try and make a statement. It is 6-5 at the end of an extremely physical first half. The Enforcers in front. We'll be back. It's the New York Enforcers 6 and California Quakes 5. Welcome back, everyone, to RollerJam Arena. We're at halftime of this Founders Cup Championship game. I'm Ken Resnick along with Lee Rehrman and roller derby legend Buddy Atkinson Jr. Buddy, your thoughts on the first half?
Well, I'll tell you what, there is no white flags out there. Everybody is hitting. This is incredible. I mean, the excitement, the energy out there. We're looking for a winner, and it's going to happen.
Hawk, in that first half, in the second period, we only had 3 points scored, but every jammer almost paid for the point with their lives.
Absolutely, Ken. And usually at this point, in the game, when we talk about the physical punishment paying off later in the game because guys get intimidated, they get hurt, they get bruised, they get battered. Not today. We see a skyscraper to Gavani. We see an eliminator by Mark D'Amato on Slopey. Little celebration. Rusty Montgomery gives him the rusty nail. Doesn't matter, Ken. No intimidation today. It's for all the marbles these guys are laying it on the line, as Buddy Atkinson said, because if they lose, they don't have to heal up for anything.
Well, there is no question that second period, as physical as you would ever see, and certainly the physical heart and soul of the New York Enforcers is Mark D'Amato and Tim Washington there with Danny Wolf.
All right, Tim, you guys brought out the full arsenal already in this game. You've already done a pseudo King Kong, a power bomb. This guy D'Amato's already done the eliminator. Was
That's right, Wolf. Call up the Pentagon, baby, because we're bringing everything out tonight. We're gonna dominate and destroy these guys. What's wrong with you?
Spit in my face.
I'll do whatever I want to do to you.
And D'Amato, let me ask you, it's 6-5. The Enforcers right now with the lead. It's low scoring. That's usually a good sign for your team.
You are a genius, Wolf. You figured that out all on your own.
Thank you.
The Quakes are fools. They've fallen right into my plan. We're keeping the score low. We're playing a defensive game. That's where we're best.
Thanks, Mark, and I wish you a lot of luck in the second half.
Shut up, you freak.
Now, the first half scoring of the two teams couldn't be any different. For California, 4 different jammers have scored. For the New York Enforcers, Heather Gunnan has 4 of the 6 points. But funny, in that first half, Heather Gunnan's 4 points came on a play that looked to be 4 points for the Quakes, and 8-point swing the story the entire first half.
It was exciting. I'm telling you something. This gal was awake, knowing what she was going to do, stole the play. Now, watch this. Amy gives a signal to Stacy Malibu. We got to move up here. It's close to the front. They lock up the pack. They're starting to lock up the pack. Amy's digging in, starting to move out here. She thinks she's going to be able to outrun the gun. Nobody outruns the gun. And watch what happens. Here's the stop right here with Stacy. We got Brookhouse pulling up in the rear. Now we got a full lift coming in here. Now, this is the nasty. That drive, that hit of Gunn, the gun, knocking Amy Craig into that rail and swooping in here and getting those points. That's big time. That's staying awake, and that's going to make the difference in this game.
It could well be a big 8-point swing for the New York Enforcers. We'll be back with what should be an unbelievable second half right after this. You can see the crowd on their feet here at RollerJam.